This one's dedicated to soy sauce spills.
Soy sauce.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Ben and Nate's Questions That We Ask Massage Therapists on the Internet. I am one half of your host, Nate Fay, and joining me, my good friend Ben Stone, and we are doing what we do best, which is post a question each week on our Facebook page, same name as our podcast. You guys answer them, and this is what makes the world go round in the world of podcasting. We get a little fun, we get serious, and most of all, we get to talk about what we love to talk about most, which is the massage industry.
We host this show together called Ben and Nate's Questions We Ask Massage Therapists on the internet, and it is heard all over the world on your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, all the other ones, YouTube podcasts. So if you like what you're listening to, give us a comment. Tell us what you like about the episode. Tell us what you don't like about the episode, because we want to hear that stuff too. You help make this podcast tick, and without you, it wouldn't be the same. So we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you being here. And what next, Nate?
Here we are, Ben. Another week, episode. I'm lost in space. We've just been banging them out lately, so I think this is probably 66 tonight. Maybe 67, but yeah. Spotify will tell me after I upload this. And we got a question.
We got a question hot off the presses from the Facebook page. Our question of the week reads, what makes you the most excited and what makes you the most worried when you look at the next generation of body workers coming into the field? That's a big question. There's a lot going on in that question, Nate. So, like we do, I want to get into your hot take. Give me your quick 20, 30-second hot take on this question. What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? What made you want to ask this question?
Well, I can only think of like me and you and many others 20, 25 years ago getting into this field. And I'm sure that the pioneers before us were like, what's going to happen next? And where are they going to take the massage industry? And as you and I get on in this field, right, we have this whole up and coming generation behind us that are going to be the next massage and manual therapists in the world. So I think that part's exciting. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the continued development in our field, because a lot's changed in 20 years. So it can only change a little bit more. And there's some things that worry me as well, which I think we're going to get into tonight. So how about you?
Yeah, as I ponder this question, one of the things that comes up for me is maybe not just the profession, but society in general and how that affects our profession. So that I may share my thoughts in a little while about that. But yeah, I think this could be pretty interesting. What do we like to go into next? Do we like to talk about what kind of comments we had from our listeners on our Facebook page?
Yeah, I was, as always, we got some answers, and it's always fascinating to me what questions yield a lot of answers and what questions don't always yield a lot of answers, but we're always grateful for them. So we just got a couple responses for this one, which leaves you and I more room to talk about this.
Oh, we could fill an episode easily, just you
sure
and I.
Can. Absolutely. So let's see. Not only being excited, this is one of our answers, not only being excited for future work travel possibilities, but for the advance in science, which will make our job so much cooler. And I think you and I can attest to that. In the 20 years that we've done it, so much has changed. We've come a long way. She goes on to say, we want to get to the true effects of really what massage and manual therapies do to the human body. And certainly the continued acceptance, she says more acceptance in the healthcare industry. And I'm seeing that as we speak. And Becky goes on to say she's worried about basic customer service, soft skills, critical thinking capacity, and mental flexibility of the new generation. And yeah, I really liked her answer. And it was a thorough answer, but I could talk about Becky's answer for a while. And Barb, one of our longtime listeners, goes on to say that she's most nervous that there's not necessarily enough. I assume she's referring to massage therapists in the pipeline.
Yeah, I've heard that the enrollment rate nationwide in massage school is down, and it has been down for the last at least 6 to 8 years. I don't know if you've heard any.
I've heard that quite a bit, but I also just recently heard from the one and only Eric Brown, who is what I consider a true industry leader, and keeps his nose on everything. He's actually saying there's currently an uptick in massage enrollment.
Well, that's good to hear. So maybe Barb doesn't need to be as nervous.
Barb, don't be nervous.
I want to dive into what Becky said about the basic customer service soft skills stuff. And that kind of goes back to what I alluded to earlier, just
Yeah,
society in general. And I saw a little video on the internets about this, and it talked about how I'm going to say the younger people today. I don't want to make us sound too old, but I'm older. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. But it talked about how the younger people have not necessarily had to wait
right.
for much. I mean, we're in the society where it's like instant. You can look up, you can pull out your phone and Google something if you don't know, if you don't have information about something. But even like, say, waiting in line, I don't know, waiting in line at the post office, waiting in line somewhere. Uh, in my younger days, you didn't have a phone. You sat there and waited in line and looked at the back of the person's head in front of you. And that's all you had to do. You didn't have a phone to keep you occupied, nothing like that.
Yeah,
So there's that part of it. And then also, I can remember as a young kid being a Boy Scout. And in Boy Scouts, we had to go sell stuff. I had to go door to door, knock on the door, and say, hey, do you want to buy these, whatever I had? I don't remember. We'll just say cookies. That wasn't it. But do you want to buy these cookies? Probably, I would say, a little, around 50% of the time they'd say no. And it didn't bother me. I just had to go to the next door because sooner or later somebody was going to say yes. But
hmm
nowadays, kids, I think even the Girl Scouts, they don't go door to door anymore because number one, nobody answers their door. That's an issue.
Yep,
But
sure is.
they don't have that face to face. I mean, that was scary for me to go up door to door, but I knew it was going to be, the interaction was going to be short and I could move on.
Right.
But I don't know. Those are some things I just wanted to throw out there. What say you?
Well, piggybacking off of what you talked about, I just want to let you know that fundraisers. So I have a son in high school. So fundraisers. I don't know if you know this, Ben, or maybe some of our listeners don't know this. They collect phone numbers. So the schools do these fundraisers through an app, and then they have like my son, for example, give them all like a bunch of contacts in their phone. And then they blast out this fundraiser to those contacts with like a pre-written script and like a generated script, and it's like, "Hi, my name is Nathan, and I'm collecting, donations for my school's football team or lacrosse team. Please click on this link to donate, and this helps us get jerseys, this, that, and the other thing."
That's
So
interesting.
so they have to not go to people's houses,
Well,
and
because no one's going to answer the door. And I've also heard a stat that says most people will read their text message within 2 to 5 minutes.
yeah,
So, I mean, text
absolutely. I'm
message is
not
a
shocked by
great
that.
way to get to people, but
Yeah.
it's also, I mean, you can overdo it too.
Yeah, so speaking from an experience of a father of a teenager and witnessing his group of friends, and I can assure you that these kids, they don't want to wait. They don't know how to talk to people. I mean, it's at the point where, we'll go up, the waiter or waitress will come into the table and we're like, "Okay, let them know what you want." And it's just all it's completely diminished. So then, to go off your comment, there's this whole other issue where technology and AI, everything is at their fingertips. So they can get to the answer to anything in a split second. And you and I have talked about this multiple times, and I've said, that the seminar business is changing. I'm seeing younger students coming to seminars, and I'm also seeing that people seem to come in on the surface having a better handle on technical skills, but not having a great handle on fundamental anatomical questions.
Yeah, that's interesting. I just saw an advertisement for it's some sort of app that comes with a camera. You set it up in front of your client. It scans their body, their
Mm,
posture, and then in about, I don't know, 45 seconds it says, it gives you a 3D overview. It shows their skeleton and how their posture is wrong and what
right.
muscles are affected and where should you work based on this 45-second scan of their body. So really somebody doesn't even need to think about clinical applications like
Yeah.
or just how the body functions. Just look at this app and say, "Oh, I'm going to work on your lats and your glutes, and we're going to be good."
Going to be good. I want to back way up just for a minute because as you were talking and as I was thoughtfully listening, I was also looking up some stats really quick
Yeah, I
just to
love
fact check
stats.
us, So we talked about numbers in massage school. So here's the paradox. Overall enrollment and the number of operational schools are down, even though demand and job openings are at an all-time high. And school closures, country seeing steady decade-long decline in the number of brick and mortar massage schools, which is true, right? And then you're getting more. So the independent schools are going away, but the more corporatized schools are coming up. Declining class sizes. And what else? Regulatory and financial squeezes, state hour adjustments, how long the program should be. And this is interesting too, the shift in educational models. So, what a difference, right? The rise in hybrid learning. So, 71% of students prefer a hybrid model. So, it basically sums this up as that we're stuck in a bottleneck, that the demand is there, the public demand is there. Healthcare integration is expanding for our response from Becky, and clinical settings are paying higher wages than ever. However, like Barb said, the educational pipeline adapts to federal funding rules, loss of brick and mortar campuses, and massage enrollment will likely remain constrained. So, people like you and I in the industry and everybody else should be continuing to see a boom in our practices. And I know for the last 4 years, I have seen an absolute increased demand.
Yeah, I mean, I'm as busy as I always have been.
Yeah.
I would say the last 10 years I have, I've just been
Yep.
full.
Absolutely. But so yeah, young people coming in, now's the time.
Well, and here's the other thing, the waiting part is you're not just going to enter an industry and all of a sudden make buku dollars. There is the accumulation of skill and knowledge that has to take place, and you can't get that overnight. You can't get that from Google. It
Mm,
needs to be learned and practiced. And so I think that's part of our society is, we see these, I'm going to call them YouTubers and TikTokers that are making,
sure.
or apparently making all this money. I don't know how it really works. But kids want to get into a job and just all of a sudden make 120,000 a year and or something crazy like that, and that doesn't happen in any job where you just walk into a job with very little experience, very little knowledge, and just start making that kind of money.
Right. So does that make you nervous about it? Would that be something that would make you nervous that a massage therapist graduating massage school comes out and is, starting out making $80 an hour self-employed which is probably pretty low compared to the standard rate out there, or getting a job at a franchise and making $25 a session? Do they burn out on that a lot quicker than, say, our generation of massage therapists?
That's an interesting question because, I could talk about, what do I want to worry about? That's not something I can control. That's out
Right.
of my control. So if I spend my energy worrying about it, what good does that do me? But I do have a vested interest in the industry as a whole, and I want the industry to do well. So yeah, it worries me a little bit. Um, yeah.
Minimum wage, if we're not talking about massage for a minute, minimum wage around the country is somewhere between $15 and $16 an hour, give or take. And the average high schooler I speak to thinks that those pay grades are beneath them at 16 years old.
Oh man.
Isn't that
I've
wild?
had this.
The average high school student says to me, why would I do that? Why would I go flip burgers, sling coffee for $15 an hour?
It's the waiting thing again. You need to accumulate the experience and the knowledge of how to get a job and how to work at a job. And minimum wage is not necessarily set up to be a living wage. I think
Hmm.
it's great for high schoolers,
Sure.
but you have a lot of people that are trying to get, they're trying to make a living wage off of minimum wage, and it's just, yeah, that's a whole different podcast right there. I don't even know that. I don't want to get into that too much, but
Right, right, right.
it's interesting. Like, what is minimum wage meant for? It's meant for the entry level job position.
Yeah. I will probably sum this up and say probably what makes me the most nervous is the potential lack of therapists coming into the field. And again, in my seminar business, the potential of real deep thought that the younger therapist wants to put into their own work and develop themselves and to have a true understanding to the best we can of the human body.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How do you learn unless you do? And how do you get better unless you mess up along the way? Like, I'm
right.
still messing up. I probably messed up today. I don't know what I messed up on, but I'm sure I messed up on something today.
My biggest mess up of the day is I keep my little bottle of sticky stuff that I use on my fingers in my back pocket as I'm working so I can quickly pull it out and apply.
Yeah.
And as I was doing some hip work on something and I was leaning way back and doing some big distraction techniques on him, I didn't realize that bottle of oil was dumping all over the floor. And I put this guy's leg down and I almost went flying because I emptied about half the bottle on my floor.
Oh boy.
And of course, half of it ran also down the
Yeah.
crack of my old behind. So you can only imagine how soothed my behind has felt today from that cold lanolin and
Oh
lavender.
yeah.
Anyway, that was my mistake today. But
Oh man.
moving on. But
Yeah.
I think what's exciting is that think about all the things that have happened in yours and I's 20 years. When I started in this field, I think there was less than 13 states that required licensing. As we learned on our podcast last week, I think we're up to 45. We are more accepted in healthcare. There's more of an interest from doctors, physicians, physical therapists, chiropractors to truly interact with us and consider us at least in the same ballpark as them, as somebody to refer to. And even though I'm not interested in insurance, insurance is starting to recognize and cover some aspects of massage therapy, including care for war vets,
Yeah.
which I think is stuff that we didn't see 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I think that's so exciting
Yeah. The idea
to
of
see that
insurance
growth.
was a myth back
Right.
then. Yeah.
I think it's exciting that 20 years ago we affected the IT band and now we don't. I think it's exciting that 20 years ago that we had the ICE everything and now we're questioning ICE.
Yeah. And
So
we
it's
could eject babies by pushing
yeah,
certain spots on the
right,
ankles.
right, or that we had to make it hurt to work. So there's a lot of unification on ideas across the field. So if that's happened in our 20 years, by the time I'm drop dead in my clinic in another 20 years, I can't wait to see what happens next. That's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, I also think the exciting thing is kind of the opposite of, the waiting thing is there is access to information quickly,
Yeah,
which helps us evolve more quickly.
yeah, I think so too. You know, you and I talked about AI a while back, a long time ago. Forced me to use, didn't force me, it made me want to use AI, and AI's come in really handy to learn and grow a little bit more.
Yeah. Another thing I thought about, I'm just gonna throw this out there while it's fresh in my mind, was with the massage schools, the smaller mom and pop places are tending to go away. And I like to think, and I don't have any proof of this, but I would think they're the ones that kind of perpetuate some of those myths. That no pain, no gain. We're stretching the IT band, that kind of thing.
Right.
Some of those outdated approaches to massage, I think, may be more perpetuated by those smaller mom and pop places. And as those go away, we get better and better information out to people, or
Yeah,
more current information.
for sure. Absolutely. What do you think? This isn't the question, but it's I feel like it's in the realm of the question because you teach classes, I teach classes. What do you think changes since we're talking about the younger generation of massage therapists? What do you think changes from our perspective of educators to adapt to some of these different needs that have come up?
I definitely think there's a hunger for more.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. I feel like the continuing education business, at least in my world, I think that is booming.
Yeah, some of the things I think about is this dichotomy between waiting and patience and versus getting everything right now. And I
Yeah,
think about some of the classes I've been to where we've spent the time in the moment doing the thing versus trying to get 10 things done.
right.
And little things that I've done along the way to help myself. Art Riggs, do you remember Art Riggs?
Sure do.
He's got a book called the Visual Guide to Deep Tissue Massage or
Mhm.
something like that. In part of his book, he talks about making this concoction of what is it, cornstarch and water. It's this
Right.
non-Newtonian fluid that if you can run across it, but if you stand on it, you'll sink. So there's another name for it. It's called like oobleck or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, I made some of this stuff. And if you play with it like you're working through tissues, it's an interesting feeling.
Yeah,
And it's hard to replicate except for actually going in the body, but it gives you an idea of what working too fast will do versus working at the right speed.
sure.
I mean, I don't know. I always talk about it to people. I'm like, it sounds goofy to do this, but I sat down and I did this and it absolutely helped me. Yes,
Yeah.
it was messy. Also, it was fun to play with this stuff, but you know, spending the time to do with those things versus trying to get, I want this, 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 and this. Yeah, you got to get all those things, but you also have to spend the time
Right. Right.
implementing and going through it. And I don't know. Am I too old school with that
You are
in my
not old
thinking?
school at all. And Art wrote down in book format. He wrote one of my favorite chapters in Dynamic Body. And Art's words are will forever be important in our industry if you read some of his work.
Yeah,
So not at all.
I'm a big fan of his.
There would be no new school without the old school. And I always say the new school just takes the old school and changes a couple words.
Yeah, so I'm excited about who is going to be the next person that researches and brings up new ideas and gets challenged. And because,
Right.
right now I kind of feel like a lot of what we're doing is just taking what we've learned in the past and we're refining it and getting that better.
Yeah.
And we're not necessarily getting to a lot of, I don't want to say new stuff, but I'm going to use that word, new stuff. Because the body is, I mean, we both know the body's pretty complex. To figure it all out, yeah, wow.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
who are those next pioneers that are
Yeah.
going to spend the time in the research, like well, Eric Dalton for one, and the German guy that does the fascia. What's his name? I'll remember it here in a minute. I need to stop thinking about his name more.
Robert. Robert Schleip.
Robert Schleip. That's it. Yep.
Yeah. So many amazing pioneers out there. So it'll be interesting to see who the next up and coming are. So I'll be honest with you, my take on this question is I'm more excited. I'm more excited than I am nervous or scared or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like things are only getting better, and that's exciting because
100%.
now I can learn from so many different people versus just, back in the day, I had to search out the internet wasn't really a big thing. You had to get, stuff in the mail about continuing education, or you had to search it out. You had to find somebody and go seek it out.
Yeah.
Now it's just everywhere.
I do miss those booklets coming to my house, though. I think about those awesome booklets once in a while and
Yeah.
just going through going, oh my God. So, well,
Yeah.
awesome, Ben.
Yeah. Any other exciting things or worries about the industry that you had? No.
No,
How about a big takeaway? What left an impression on you for some of the things that we talked about?
well, I think I'm just excited about this continued demand from the public of seeking massage therapy. And like I said, I'm just excited that what we've seen in the last 5 to 8 years with the growth, I just can't wait to see what the next 5 years brings.
Yeah, 5, 10, 15.
Absolutely.
I don't plan on quitting anytime soon.
Yeah, me neither. How
Yeah.
about you? What was your big takeaway?
Oh man, there's just so many things. It just made me think. I think that's the big takeaway that I get from a lot of these talks is just it gets me thinking about stuff I may not have necessarily thought about, or now I'm thinking about how some of these things are going to affect me in my day to day. I talked about the patience thing, and that's a reminder to me that hey, patience, that's a thing. It's okay to not have instant results, because
Right.
that's another thing. Like people come in and they want to get better right now, and that's not typically how it works.
I had a woman come in tonight. I haven't seen her in a year and a half. And she was all upset that she had to come and see me because her low back was bothering her. And she's like, "Is this going to keep happening?" And I said, "I haven't seen you in a year and a half." And I said, "So, within our age group," I said, "that's actually pretty awesome."
Yeah.
But yeah, she wanted me to. She said to me, "I don't ever want to have low back pain again."
Oh man, who does
I was
after?
like, "Simsalabim."
Yeah. I mean, if you've had even a mild case of low back pain, or I've had a pretty severe one, but it only lasted probably six
Yeah,
hours. But
right,
yeah,
right.
that is not something I want to experience on a long term basis.
Well, Ben, I think this was a fun one tonight. I want to thank everyone for listening. And check us out on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, our Spotify page, and your favorite platform of podcasting. And most importantly, Ben, what makes the show tick?
It's the people that are listening right now. And I'm going to challenge you guys that if you like what you're listening to, tell one friend about it. Say, hey, I've been listening to this show called Ben and Nate's Questions that we ask massage therapists on the internet. It's a really long title, but they talk about cool things and they're down to earth dudes and they just talk about stuff that everyone thinks about. And so, yes,
There it is. We'll see you next time.
thanks for listening.